Hey guys, so we're up here on the roof of the rig. We're sitting in New Braunfels, Texas, or somewhere near New Braunfels. And I'm working with Bill Murray. He's the installer from AM Solar, or the AM Solar affiliate, I guess you call him. And I'll show you a little picture of where we got so far. So this morning Bill put the panels up on the roof. We kind of talked about different spots to put them. And versus my original layout, came up with one slightly different option, and I think they're all a little bit of a compromise. It depends on where you think you're going to get that shading on that one panel. Okay, so we're going to just take a little walk on the roof and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We got these kind of loosely laid out. So similar to my original layout, at least my template that I thought was going to work. So we got 4 times 180 watts there. And then we have another 180 watts here, and another 180 watts up here. So, as far as, you know, compromises and stuff, we're going to get shading at some place on some piece of this because of the pieces of equipment. We have the air conditioner here, and we have the vent there. So, we played around with it and pulled a panel down. Just so you know, we're in winter sun, so obviously this is the most shadowing where we're going to get. So if I pulled that panel right there down to the air conditioner, you can see where the shadow is now. So I would get a little bit of loss there. The other option was to put it over here next to the ladder. There's room between that one skylight and the antenna, which is underneath his bag of parts. So we decided we're going to leave it here because we have the least amount of shadow, and that gives me the space ultimately to add 2 more panels, or, you know, 1 panel is probably more likely. And if I did add that panel, it would either be in this location following the same pattern as these, or I would actually turn it 90 degrees and go across. Either way, it doesn't really matter to the performance of the panel, it's just aesthetics. I wanted to talk about some of the quality of the components, because Bill educated me quite a bit on some of this stuff. So this cable here is specifically made by AM Solar, and you can see the size of the jacket. I don't know if any of you guys play with cabling, but I've played with cabling most of my life. And you can see that this is a 10 gauge cable. This is only for the panels. This is not the welding cable. This is going down from the combiner box to the charge controller. So you can see the size of the jacket and the UV rating on this thing. Apparently it's held up really well. The other thing that he was showing me was the combiner box. Now AM Solar does have this combiner box made for themselves. They make the molds and they have it produced. So you can see this is a pretty good quality box. It's low profile. It's got plenty of knockouts, 1, 2, 3, 4 knockouts already. And then you can drill holes in the side and make another knockout if you ever needed to. But it's got a nice path that goes down through your roof. And I think it secures with 3, it secures with 3 holes on the bottom to go right to the roof. And, you know, the big thing is, if any of you guys have played electrical stuff, you'll know about Neewer ratings. This is a gasketed cover, and I would say this is probably equal to a NEMA 4 enclosure. I don't think they actually have a rating on it, but this is meant to be sitting flat on the roof, where most NEMA 4 enclosures are even only rated to go vertical for rain tightness. So this is so well built, I'm sure there's never going to be a problem with it. So here's some of the reasons that I really wanted to go with AM Solar also is the quality of the hardware. These are feet that are actually made by AM Solar. They're stainless steel, not aluminum like you see other ones. And the panels are actually made for AM Solar, and they're American made. I mean, the quality of these, I don't think I've ever seen a panel that was built so well, and I've looked at a lot of different stuff. So let's just look at a couple things here. Like these stainless steel feet, you can see it's a two-piece scenario. You got a piece that wraps around the actual aluminum frame, and then you have the actual vertical lifting spot with the adjustment. And they use the Scotch VHB tape on there along with sealant. So these things would probably sit fine just with the sealant, but they do run screws and the sealant through it. But these panels here, these are 180 watt panels. They're 19.2 volts, and so they can draw, you know, approximately 9.3 amps. They are made in America. You can see the quality in the frame. They're just a really well built panel, and now I know why they are a little bit more expensive than stuff you buy off of eBay. These panels, I think they were around $329 a piece, something like that. And I think, you know, you can probably get them for, you know, $1 a watt if you really want to go cheap Chinese made stuff. There are some other American made products that are probably somewhere in between these prices, but you know, this is a good quality product, and I don't think I'm going to have to worry a bit about them. So one of the things we talked about yesterday was where we're going to put the combiner box. The box that takes all the cables from the panels, puts them on the inside terminals, and then we drop down so I can get to the charge controller. And you know, every roof is different. We looked inside and looked at all the different pathways, and Bill came up with a path that he used on his rig. I feel very fortunate because Bill actually has a Heartland landmark. So, you know, if anyone knows this rig, it's him. So we looked right about here. You can see this is where the, for some reason they mounted the satellite receiver on this plate, which is a really bad location. That's why I've got it sitting on the ground right now. But right on this side of the skylight for the shower, there's a pathway, and it'll be somewhere in between right around here. And that's one way to go down. Or you could go down these vents, you know, right next to these vents. Ultimately, that was not the best spot. There's also another vent right here, if you can see during the shadow. There we go. There's a vent here. But ultimately, we decided to use this one. So the combiner box is going to sit somewhere right over here. And this one actually goes, it follows a nice path down into what is the washer dryer prep area of the rig. And I mean, it's a really clean path. Basically, you just got to go down and then over about 2 or 3 feet, and it shoots right down into the baggage compartment. You know, just looking at these rigs next to me, you can see that the roofs have varied amounts of space to be able to put solar on. So I guess the message here is, if you're buying a rig and you plan on doing a lot of boondocking, you got to consider not just the interior options and how well it tows and all that, but what does my roof look like? How much space am I going to have to put panels on, and is that going to be sufficient for your needs? So I didn't do that with this rig. I just got lucky. You know, I didn't really look at how many panels I could put on here, but the Heartland product, they give a lot of room to put in, so I'm very happy about that. Anyway, got Bill here from RV Solar Solutions. He's nailing down the last of these panels. Basically, you got that 3M, what do they call it, VHB tape or something like that. Yep. VHB tape, which pretty much would secure the whole damn thing anyway. But then he's just going to run a couple stainless screws through there. So here we got Bill, he's just checking polarity on these panels just to make sure everything was built right from the factory. So here we are, here's our finished connection. You can see not only the individual butt connectors heat sealed, but the overall system's got a heat seal, and so very nice, clean, love it. You can see in the battery compartment that there's a lip, and it's right here. There's some good steel to support the batteries. Well, on the floor, this is where your generator compartment was, and it's pretty flexible. I didn't trust it to carry the loads of the batteries, even though some people do. I guess it's my overbuilder by nature coming in. So I'll show you what we're going to do here. You can see right here we've got this piece of the frame, and but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to take these three pieces, use those as the main supports, and they'll run across to the other side, which is just like this. And then a little example, my plywood will sit right on top of that. So here you can see, here's the penetration that goes to the combiner box, and we're coming down inside the closet. Each rig is going to be its own little issue, but right here, this is where some of the wires are hidden in the rig, and we're just following that along. Then it comes in underneath this little raised step kind of thing, winds up going to the bottom drawer of the dresser. You can see it here. And then right now the cable's just sitting here. That'll wind up actually in the battery compartment. Alright, so here we're in the propane compartment and just kind of show you what happened here. So you can see the two big welding cables right here. Those come down from the roof and they go into the battery compartment. And then these, of course it's not all tightened up yet. We're still a little raw. These are the data cables that run to the Victron and the Magnum displays out front inside the coach. And then the orange Romexes are the ones that go to the distribution panel. So this is what this compartment will look like. And I got my little disco light thing there just for my LED lights. Able to punch a good hole for that one. What happens though, if you see, you know, you got to do some thinking about how you're going to route wires here. So Bill came up with a good solution where it kind of goes up into, in the bottom drawer of the dresser, there's a space there. So it kind of goes up and then it has to get over to here. So in the Heartland, at least in the Landmark, there's this tray here, which is basically carrying a vent pipe, it's carrying water pipe, and a whole bunch of cable. This goes the whole length of this baggage area, comes down this way, and then goes inside your door here. So I don't want to show you all that, but basically inside here is a big mess of wires, both the factory stuff, and then Bill's got his wires going over, sneaking over into the cabinet. Into this cabinet. I wanted to show you what I'm doing here in this lower compartment. So here's our power distribution, the main AC, and then there's the DC power distribution hiding in this cabinet. So I took out the panel that was here for two reasons. One, it was just this thin, you know, 1/8 inch or whatever it is, you know, stuff you see in the side here, and it really wasn't supporting a whole lot of weight. That's where Nancy keeps her cans. So I wanted to reinforce that anyway. And then you can see here's our sub panel that is going through the inverter. So I get my, I've got 4 circuits, a total of 30 amps on the inverter available inside the coach. So I'm going to mount that panel, or actually Bill's going to mount it, right on that wall right here. And then what I'm going to do is make a removable piece, probably cut about a 3-inch piece there and a 3-inch piece there that goes the full depth, and then I'll have a slide out panel that'll slide in, so it'll give a good place for Nancy to have her cans and all the heavy stuff, and also make it serviceable if I ever need to get to this wiring. Up here yesterday, I'm not quite done here yet. But here's my regular, I'm sorry for the lighting, but all my circuits are dead while Bill's still cutting over some stuff. And over here is where the new Magnum display is, and the Victron display. So those aren't programmed yet. So I took some wood and I'm staining it and fashioning it. This was a compartment similar depth to that, and I brought it out so sort of where it'll be more flush to be similar to the main control panel. And I'm not done with it yet. This is just a temporary situation. I'll make it look all pretty by the time I'm done. But anyway, I think that's kind of nice where I've got everything behind this one door where I can look at all the solar parameters. Anyway, here's a little update. Hey guys, it is Monday. We had our solar installed on Saturday, kind of finished up. So because we had some rain clouds, it took about probably 45 hours worth of installation to get done. And I can't say enough about RV Solar Solutions. Greg, who selected all the equipment, he went out to do a conference, and Bill, who installed it, just did a fantastic job. Bill's been working with Greg for a bit, and on and off, I guess, through the years. And one of the great parts is Bill has the exact same landmark, so he kind of knew the path from getting up and down on the roof and all that, and he just did a fantastic job. So I want to talk about some of the components that we use. You know, we're going to give it a run, see how it is now. I think I got to put it through the paces, unfortunately. Today, I got white sky. And I'm in a park. I'm at actually a conference myself right now. And so we'll see how it goes. One thing I did want to make sure though is if we needed to, we could bump it up a little bit easily. So right now we have 6 180 watt AM solar panels, which the quality of these panels is, I don't think you can get a better panel today. I mean, you're going to pay a little bit more money, but it's good quality. And then coming down, we have the Victron 185 solar charge controller. And then we have a Magnum 2800 inverter. And I was still using the other Magnum 1000 watt inverter that came with mine. And Bill actually suggested we keep that in there. You could go either way with it. One thing that's an advantage of keeping that small inverter is because that just runs the residential refrigerator. That means in times where at nighttime you can turn off the main inverter and you won't get that phantom draw, because the inverters, as long as they're on, they're using power. So the 1000 watt can run the fridge, and when I go to bed, I can just turn off the main inverter, and I'll have a little bit less battery loss at night. And then it comes to the batteries. So out of the inverter, there's a Blue Sea Systems catastrophic fuse, which is a really cool fuse assembly. It doesn't take up, the old fuses were really, really long. It took up a lot of space. Anyone that's in a small trailer is really going to appreciate this new fuse setup. You don't have to make up another set of cables, another benefit. Coming down to there, then we have 6 220 amp hour Lifeline batteries. And so that gives me about 335 usable amp hours. Now, like I said, it's going to be easy to upgrade that. All I got to do is throw in 2 more batteries, and then I'm up to, what, 880. The other thing I forgot to mention is that, along with the panels that are on the roof, I have a 120 watt foldable ZAMP panel. So, that's going to come in kind of handy in the winter sun. I thought about doing the tilt kits, but I really don't want to be on the roof any more than I have to. And I know a lot of guys do it, but I figured, well, if in that case, I'll just pull out my portable, and 120 watts, I can aim it right towards the sun, follow it during the winter sun. Or, if I just need a little more charge, I can pull that out instead of having to use my little Honda generators. So it's another way to do it. I think it's going to work out. We'll just, put it through its paces and find out. I also wanted to mention, why did I get the expensive panels, and why the Victron controller, why the Magnum inverter. That's pricey stuff, and I get it. So I guess the only real answer is I like buying quality if I can. And even though some of the cheaper made stuff, the stuff that comes out of China or eBay or whatever, even some of the other brands, they're probably 100% fine. I have nothing against them. I've never used them, but I know people that have, and they don't have any problems with them. I just figured, you know, these are marine grade components, the Victron and the Magnum, which is made by Sensata Technologies. I've had boats before, and I just figured, hey, if it can hold up in a boat in a marine environment, it's gonna do pretty well in an RV. That was pretty windy. I just lost my ladder, my foldable ladder. Anyway, so that's just, you know, don't be dissuaded from going and buying whatever panels you can get. You can get them for $1 a watt nowadays. So, you know, where I think I paid $3 something a watt. But the $1 a watt ones, you got to make up your own brackets, and you know, you may have to do a little more finagling. But if you're on a budget and you got to figure out how am I going to make this work with my whatever that $2,000, $3,000 budget is, then go for it. You know, I think if we ever sell this rig, well, we will sell it at some point, but when we sell it, I think it also adds value to have good quality components and a good installation in there. You know, when it came time to sizing the system and going through all the calculations, I think one of the lessons I learned is you may not need to go through all that pain of trying to nail it down exactly. I mean, you can, and part of that anal part of me says go do it. But at the end of the day, I think there are rules of thumb you can follow and get pretty close. As long as you have that system that it's expandable, you can start off with a system that follows those rules of thumb and then add on to it if it doesn't really meet your needs. I guess the thing is, just don't overcomplicate it. It really turns out it's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, and lots of options out there. So I'm kind of excited to see all the new stuff that's coming out. There is some new products coming out, and I can't wait for lithium batteries to get real on their pricing. I would have loved to have done that, but I just couldn't budge with that kind of money right now. It didn't seem to be worth it. I'll wait till this battery bank starts, you know, going down, and then we'll look at it then. So anyway, that's the end of the solar thing, and we'll give you an update once I get a chance where there's some sun. But it's going to be raining in here, Texas, for the next 10 days, I guess, so we'll have to come back to you later. Anyway, take care. I hope you really enjoyed this whole solar series, and please subscribe. Any questions or comment, please leave it below. I'll try to answer as best I can. All right, thank you. Bye.